when you look at hip hop and the evolution of it, and hip hop has always been, sender receiver friendly. I always say that, right? The MC is sending it out, also receiving it. So it's one of those kind of things where if there's not a constant awareness of being relevant, then there's going to constantly be a dearth, a void of any real substance. But at the same time, you are creating culture, right? So
true.
when Muggs was first starting, they were creating a culture out of what they were going through, right? In the South Bronx, South Bronx, we can see that, and they was going through it, right? There was poverty, and Robert Moses had destroyed this whole area in the South Bronx and built this bridge between, Queens and Manhattan, and Careless Ones come out. The bridge is over. The bridge is over.
The bridge is over.
The reality of what they were doing was not, hey, we're doing this to birth culture. We're doing this because we need to survive and make sense out of what we're experiencing.
Right.
I mean, do you see that now though in hip hop? Do you see that now in hip hop, K-drama? Do you see that now? Like our artists just, hey, here's the drill, here's the mumble rap, here is the style. I don't know. I'm just asking is because then to me, if it's not, is it moving the culture or is it stagnating the culture of hip hop?
In hip hop at large, like there is this certain level of spirituality that exists in the music. And for me, I'm like, man, I feel like there's going to be this time where there's a lot of intersections. I think God is at work ultimately behind the scenes. I feel like just because people mention God in hip hop doesn't mean that they're mentioning it from a pure place or from a place where like we're trying to achieve the same things within our music. And so I think for me, like for a second, it took me a while to like recalibrate and be confident in my own voice. And I feel like a lot of artists, just in general, just to wrap it back around to your question, I don't think the average artist as a whole is comfortable in their voice. It's like, all right, I'm going to do what the industry tells me to do so that I can get this money, so I can be relevant, so that I can get fans, so I can be viable and relevant. But, I think what I've learned is you don't have to do those things in order to maintain a career in hip hop. And for me, like, just because you're not in the limelight, so to say, doesn't mean that people aren't rocking with you. And I think if more artists realize that, I think more artists would stay true to their own voice versus trying to like appease certain audiences and certain stakeholders.
For sure. It's different levels to this, man. You got deep underground cats who just got their following and like they doing their thing, and it's like, yeah, they ain't in the limelight, but like they underground and they like making a living off their music and they're doing it the way they want to do it. You got deep underground, then you just got folks who underground. Then you got like this middle level. K-drama, you said it recently in an interview that you had, and like I like the way you said it. You were like, it's this middle class of the music game that you could be in, that people, are asleep on. And then like you got, the limelight. Like you said, what you said was like, people think that either you don't nobody know you or you look cray, and they forget about everything else that's in the middle. And so like, that's so real. Like it's levels to this, right?
Yeah.
But Pastor Phil, to answer your question, I think the answer is both. There are people, MCs right now who are out that are pushing the culture forward and will continue to push the culture forward by being real, by keeping the real talk, telling stories straight from the street and their personal experiences, and giving a depiction of what we go through every day in America in the struggle. And it pushes the culture forward, and their stories are heard and people can relate. But you also have rappers who are just in it for the money. And a long time ago, the music industry realized that these record execs, record labels realized they can get rich quick off of hip hop. And so like they're putting the same cookie cutter music and same cookie cutter rappers out there. And some people are just willing to do that. It's like, I'm about to get paid. Like K
Right.
Drama just said, I'm gonna do what the industry tells me to do, and I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna rap like this, and I'm gonna talk about this because that's what they push into the radio stations, and that's what they push into the masses, and that's what's selling, and that's what's gonna make me $1 million real quick.